Hello listeners, and welcome to the first program in our series, Let's Learn Life Science, which is produced for grade 8 learners and anybody else who has an interest in plants and more specifically flowers. Today with me in the studio are the two beautiful ladies, Madame Moesha and Jane, who will discuss the different parts of flowers and their functions. Please have a pen and a notebook ready so that you can make notes for the important points. After listening to this program, you should be able to describe the structure of a flower and the functions of the flower parts. And secondly, you must be able to define pollination as a transfer of pollen grains from the anther to a receptive stigma. My name is Mr. Hanganeni Levine-Wheeler, and I would like to welcome Madame Moesha and Jane to our discussions. Moesha is a plant guru and works at the National Botanic Garden of Namibia. Joining her is Jane, who is so passionate of nature and plants specifically. Let's get started. Ladies, I know you are interested in plants because they represent nature and life on Earth, and also due to the fact that other living organisms need them for survival.
I love plants. When people use flowers at important occasions such as graduations and weddings, they create a cozy atmosphere. Even at funerals, flowers and plants are useful to lift people's spirits on a day that's generally sad.
That's very true. Plants and flowers are really part of our lives. Moesha, would you like to start by telling our listeners about the basic structures of flowers and the functions of the different parts?
Sure. Flowers has 4 parts, arranged in rings called whorls. The outer layer consists of sepals. These are generally green in color and they protect the flower when it is a bud. The second layer is the part that makes Jane love flowers so much. Because of the beautiful colors and shapes they can come in, it is called petals.
Indeed, Moesha, you know I love flowers. Since the petals are beautiful and colorful, they attract birds and insects for pollination. In some flowers, nectarines, which are glands that produce the sweet liquid called nectar, also attract birds and insects to the flower. Whenever we went to fetch firewood when we were kids, we would look for a specific flower that we used to suck on to get sweet nectar.
Okay, so far we have discussed 2 of the 4 parts of the flower, namely the sepals and the petals. I understand that the other 2 parts contain the female and the male structures of the flower, which produce sex cells. Moesha, before we discuss the layers, can you elaborate on the term pollination, which Jane referred to?
Absolutely. Let's take a moment and define pollination to help everyone understand what we mean when we say the petals attract birds and insects for pollination. Pollination is a transfer of pollen grains from the anther to a receptive stigma. I'll repeat the definition of pollination again after we have discussed the male and female parts of the flower. Now, let's talk about the male parts of the flower. The male part is called the stamen. The stamen consists of an anther and filament. Each flower has a number of stamens.
That's wonderful. Now let's quickly recap what we have discussed thus far. Anyone that joined us late, we have mentioned that the flower has 4 parts, arranged in rings called whorls. The first part consists of sepals. The second layer is the petals, brightly colored to attract birds and insects such as bees for pollination. And pollination is a transfer of pollen grains from the anther to a receptive stigma. The third part is the stamen, which is the male part, consisting of an anther and the filament. Each flower has a number of stamens. Please continue, Moesha.
Sure. The anther is the male structure that produces pollen grains containing male sex cells. And the filament holds the anther upright so that the anther is exposed to wind or is closer to the stigma for pollination to take place more easily.
That's great. Now, what is the 4th layer?
Well, the 4th innermost whorl contains the carpel. The carpel makes up the female part of the flower. Each carpel consists of an ovary, a style, and a stigma. The ovary produces ovules. Each ovule consists of one female sex cell. The style holds the stigma upright so that the pollen can easily land on the stigma. The stigma has a sticky surface which allows the pollen to attach to it.
Now that we have discussed all 4 parts of the flower, it is much easier to understand the definition of pollination. As promised, here is the definition again. Pollination is the transfer of pollen grains from the anther to a receptive stigma. You now know what pollen grains are. You know what the anther is, and you know what the stigma is. Thus, the definition should make more sense now.
Yes, definitely I do. Just to recap, let me quickly check if I made some adequate notes. The first layer is the sepals. They are green in color and they protect the flower when it is a bud. The second layer is the petals that attracts birds and insects for pollination. They attract me too. Pollination is defined as a transfer of pollen grains from the anther to a receptive stigma. The male part of the flower is called the stamen. The stamen consists of an anther and a filament, and each flower has a number of stamens. The anther is the male structure that produces pollen grains containing male sex cells. The anther is held upright by the filament. This is the third layer. And the fourth layer is the innermost hull that contains the carpel, which make up the female part of the flower. Each carpel consists of an ovary, a style, and a stigma. The ovary produces ovules. Each ovule contains one female sex cell. The style holds the stigma upright so that pollen can easily land on the stigma. The stigma has a sticky surface which allows pollen to attach to it. What an interesting discussion we had, ladies.
Indeed.
This now brought us to the end of the discussion. Ladies, I would like to thank you for the contribution to today's lesson.
Thank you for
You're
having
welcome.
us.
Now, here is the question for today. The male part of the flower is called A, an anther, B, a stamen, or C, a petal. This program was written by Shiwa Kambata. Until next time, take care.
This program was brought to you by NAMCOL with funding from the Ministry of Education, Arts and Culture and the Commonwealth of Learning.